Hi and welcome to this last video on the live coding session for the battle menu. So let's recap what we did in the last two videos. There we created the interface for the options and for quitting. So these options have now been implemented and quitting, yes or no, have now been implemented. Continue has worked all along, but what does not happen yet is this inventory, and that's what we're going to do now. So this inventory it's not supposed to be displayed here at the right hand side. Instead, we're actually going to use the inventory screen. And the inventory screen is something we created in another video, a live video here. It looks like that, where we have also this book interface, and whenever we click on the buttons here at the left hand side, here at the right hand side, we are seeing whatever is equipped. So we're going to use actually this screen by going to the screen and then reverting back to the battle. So what we're going to do now is very simple. We're going to go to the battle, and we're going to see this action is called inventory. What we want to do here now is go in here and switch to the menu, and then copy this one. Whenever the menu is called inventory, we don't want to quit, of course, but we want to go to layout called inventory. And let's see if that works. Nope. We want this, of course. And then we do that. And we go here, which is okay. And then these buttons do not work, and this does not work as well. But I think it's normal that those buttons don't work, because I do recall that in the start of the game layout, what we do here is we deactivate the interaction of the inventory, because we don't need it. And actually we don't need it. Actually, the question is, why do we need this include? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this include. And that means I don't have to do this as well. So by removing the include and removing that group, normally what should happen is this would be standalone, would still be working like before. But if we click here on inventory, I think this should work. So we still haven't got implemented the back button here. That's what we're going to do now. So what happened here is, by including the inventory event sheet in the battle event sheet, everything was working. Every interaction was working there as well. And it really interfered with the interaction in the battle menu here, because a lot of the things also use these button menus and these generic text and stuff like that. So before, I opted to just ignore that and deactivate the group in the logic group inside the event sheet for the inventory. But I'm coming to realize that actually I don't need that inventory here. We can just ignore the include, and then we don't have the problem altogether. Then the inventory layout is totally separated from the battle action. So what we now need to do still is go to the inventory event sheet here, and we need to implement this back button. And what is it called here? It's a button accept. And then we need to go to the interaction. We're going to add an event. Mouse on object clicked. Which button accept here? Button accept. This is one. Okay, and then we effectively go back to the battle. Let's try that. Right. We go here to the inventory. That's it. We go back. Fight. And then we start to fight again. that's something that shouldn't really happen, because if we started using some stuff here, if we go back, so we had 14 shield here, let's remember that. We go to the inventory and we come back. I do believe the 14 shield will be gone. Yeah, so that's not something we want to do. Now I'm thinking there can be a pretty simple solution to this problem by doing something like going to the battle menu, and then just before we click that button here, where is it? Switch to inventory. I'm going to local storage, or no. What we'll do is here is save that layout as temporary. We save the game slot to temporary, and whenever we go in the inventory, instead of going to battle, we're going to just disable that by pressing the D on the keyboard. I'm going to load temporary. Well, let me just delete that altogether. Let's do that and test that out.
Fight.
Let's do something, for example, demon shield. 14, great. Go into here, go back. There we go. That's perfect, actually. We can do here, and that's it. So we can just continue the battle as it was before. It could have been a cheat, actually, because suppose you're very bad in shape, very bad health, no shield, and you're about to get your ass kicked. Actually, it would be sufficient to go back to the inventory and go back in the screen, and then you would reset actually the battle. So that would be a very large bug. Quality of life 0. So what we did here was actually perfect. So we just saved the game layout, and we loaded the game layout to some fixed, arbitrary, temporary slot actually. So let's save that. But there's one more thing I would like to add here, and that's looking at the future just a bit. Because whenever we click this button, accept in the inventory, suppose we do that not from the menu in the battle, but from another place, like let's say a map. Inside the map, we can also choose to see the inventory, for example. It's not implemented yet. We will implement it in a later session, but it's going to be implemented. So what we want to do actually is have a variable that stores from where we are coming into the inventory screen. If we're coming in from a battle, and then we load the go back to the temporary slot, or if we are coming back from a map, and then we need to go back to that map. So what we're going to do here is add to strings. So I'm going to start looking here in my variables. I'm going to search for something with map. Sorry, not MPA, map. Game mode map. No, that's not. What we're going to do is we're going to have a new global string, and it's going to be current map. Because there are going to be multiple maps right now, there's only one map implemented, one island here, island Astilon. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to indicate that this is the current map. Normally this would be set whenever we go to a different map, of course, but now we haven't got that logic implemented yet, so we're just defaulting to the only map we've got. And we're going to use that when we're going to the inventory, because when we're going back towards the map, we need to know to which map we want to revert back to. And that's why we need to store a string that holds the name of the current map. So we'll use that in a minute. And the second thing we need is actually an extra string here. And we call it current inventory mode. And current inventory mode, suppose we can have two values. A value of map. And let's do something like that. Inventory mode map. I like to make constants. Why? Because it's easier to deal with when calling a function. Instead of remembering that it should be a certain arbitrary chosen string, you can enter a constant, and that way it's always the same and it's more easily readable and you can't have a mistake. So inventory mode battle, if we're coming from a battle, for example. So when we go into the battle menu here, and we go into the inventory, just before we do that, we set the value, the current inventory mode, and we set it to inventory mode battle. So we know that once we go to the inventory layout, we know we're coming from the battle. So once we implement the logic to go to the inventory from an island, we're going to have to set it to inventory mode map. And inside the inventory logic here, we have to check, alright, condition compared to values. If the current inventory mode equals inventory mode battle, then we note that slot, else if it is map, we go to a layout. Which load to go to? We do go to layout by name, and it's actually just current map, the variable we implemented just now. So actually, let's save that and start the battle again. And actually, it should work just as before, like that. We go to inventory, we go back, and we're here again. So it works just as before, but we're actually implementing already a failsafe for when we're going into the inventory screen from different angles, actually. So that's it. This concludes the series on handling the battle menu in the game. I hope you liked it. So as always, please like and subscribe, and if you want the full code for the game, please support me on my Patreon page. The links are in the description. Good luck!